How you doing, man?
Good, dude. How are you?
Good. Are you in Canada or US?
Canada.
Ah, I see. I thought so. Because you guys are
Yeah.
from Canada, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to the U.S. right now. Either.
Yeah.
Forget that.
I can imagine. I guess there's a lot of
hmm
people wanting to go to Canada. Well, that was before,
Well,
actually.
no. I mean, same as always. But like, I think it's the same here. There's the same kind of right wing thing like there is all over the world. It's been like uprising everywhere, right? A bunch of psychos. So
Exactly.
no one's safe.
Yeah. I was actually in Canada when Trump got elected the
Oh yeah.
last time. It was crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how could it last 4 years? And then now it's just utter chaos. It's quite funny, but also very sad for democracy worldwide, I think.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, the crazy thing is not to shit on America, but the people who were against Biden this time around, they said if Biden wins, we'll move to Canada. But Canada is way more progressive than US. They would have a worse time in
Dude,
Canada.
I don't even know how to explain it. Like we're basically socialist, right? We're like a capitalist socialist structure rather than like a full-blown democracy like America, because we have socialized healthcare and all sorts of programs to help people with addiction and things like that America doesn't have.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, yeah, no shit, you want to come here. You don't want to pay that $100,000 hospital bill for having a child. You don't want to, you don't want to die from a heart failure because you can't afford to get it. You know what I mean? And there's a million reasons why people want to move here, especially, and same with Europe, right? I mean, most countries are, especially like the northern Scandinavian countries and things like that. There's programs for everything, right? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
It makes more sense.
It does, man. I mean, that's definitely the way to live, in my opinion. If you can.
Absolutely.
I mean, the UK is pretty good here. I mean, I'm from Sweden too,
Yeah.
but that's almost the same as in UK.
No, totally. I mean, NHS is well. I mean, whatever critics want to say, it still exists. And in America, there's none of that, and they're about to take away all their like cheap healthcare. So it's what a time to be alive, man.
Exactly, man. But what have you been up to during the lockdown? Then I guess touring has been no go like everyone else. Yeah,
it's just gone now. Yeah, we've. Well, the band's been doing a bunch. We did an acoustic EP, and we did finished our next full length. So that's cool. And I started a solo project to just get some other things out that weren't really fitting into the Monster Truck thing.
Nice.
And it's called Jon Harvey and the Inner Demons, and it's just me basically. I'm gonna be releasing some things via Bandcamp just because Bandcamp's great. I really appreciate that platform and like what's going on there, where it's more fan centric than putting it on Spotify. Like, who gives a shit? I mean, you can put it on Spotify and it gets lost in the shuffle of a million other releases that day that are arguably far more important. Right. I think it's way smarter to start it from a grassroots way, the way punk used to be, the way we used to trade tapes. Well, I'm 39, so right. Call me old, but when I was like 13 and 14, we were still tape trading. You know what I mean? And it's like nowadays, like you have to figure a niche or you're screwed. You're just lost in the shuffle. So now, I figure through Bandcamp, it's probably the best way to go because people are dedicated to it and they like it. They like the idea of discovering new bands. It's like like I said, like tape trading. It's the same thing, but online and streaming, which means less shit in your life.
I mean, Bandcamp is awesome, man. Like I found so many bands that I've worked with as well through Bandcamp. There's some really, really cool music on there, and it's easier to find cool music there than on Spotify. Don't know why,
I think the curation of music is an art that has now been lost without big publication and without even playlists, man. I listen to a Metallica playlist. I don't give a shit. Like 90% of those songs are like, some of them I like already. And then some of them are just like, okay, great, Metallica. It's not the same respect. I don't have the same respect for an artist that I used to have of a critic, like someone who nailed it on the head every single time, or like record labels that were curated labels and like you knew what you were going to get. For the most part. I mean, not a super huge curveball. Like if you looked to a metal label or like Nuclear Blast or something, you kind of knew what you were getting. You know what I mean? It was probably going to be metal. But it's kind of a weird spot right now because everything's just a big melting pot of whatever. And I think Bandcamp's a good way for people to be able to curate their tastes again and find out about things rather than having to go to Spotify and going on these mega corporate playlists and be like, okay, cool. There's like 3 bands that aren't massive and already on the radio.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense to me. So I don't know. I love it. I'm on it all the time now because I just started getting into it because I was like, what is this shit? Because all my friends in punk bands and stuff are putting out releases on Bandcamp, and I'm like, okay, well, what's going on here? There's got to be something going on because all the cool kids are doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
So sorry about that. I just got a phone call.
No worries.
So yeah, I was like, what is this? And I started checking it out and I love it. I now like go on there as much as I go on my Apple Music. So it's pretty, it's good vibes, man. I'm quite excited about putting some stuff out. So yeah, I've just been working on that, and I like to illustrate and things like that. So I've been doing a bunch of drawings, but nothing too good. And then, just kind of trying to work on things and keep things going.
Awesome, man.
Any way you can, you know what I mean? I mean, we in Canada here, especially for the artists now, we get some government support. It's not great. I mean, it's not. We're still making way less, exponentially less than we did when we were touring.
Yeah.
But it kind of keeps you afloat, so you're able to keep making art rather than having to oh well, I guess I'm a bricklayer now, which is probably about 6 months away.
Yeah. It's not always the case. It's always 6 months away being an artist.
Well, maybe, yeah. I mean, it depends on how much you set yourself up and also who you have managing your money, I guess. But it's always uneasy, man. You have to constantly be doing things now. Like, there's no time to not be doing things. Like, even a band like ours, Monster Truck puts out a record every 2 years. Right. Kind of. That's our track record. Great, eh? We could probably do a lot more, but that's the pace we seem to like. But now we have to change that whole thing. So like next year, hopefully, we're planning on releasing 2 or 3 things, a couple EPs and a full-length record, and like keep continuing on that pace to kind of like just stay in the thing, because that's basically you have 2 choices. You either come up with more content now, or you are not a band.
Right. Exactly.
There's no time. I mean, before people used to say, "Oh, you got to go away. You got to go away. You're gonna exhaust your market." That's bullshit. Right. It's been bullshit for years because people don't care. You get new fans and lose fans all the time now. Right. It's not like you have this solid fan. Like, you have a solid fan base. We're lucky, especially our band, because we got fans that are like, "Yo!" And I love that. I think it's great. It's like being a football team or something. Yeah. But they're really great and into it. But 90% of the people that are listening to these streams are like Wayfair kind of fans. Like, they like 2 songs. They're like, yeah, I like this band more, or you know what I mean. You're always competing for their attention. So the only way now to compete in a relative way, it's like anything, right? You need more products in the marketplace to be able to compete now. So it's kind of it's a crazy time, but I also like it because it's the pressure of creating is something I always liked.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I'd just love to go back to what you mentioned about Spotify, because I guess you know this too, but they just did this thing. What's it called? Like, you can pay them. What's it called? Like, you pay.
You give them a royalty basically off your stream for marketing, which to me is basically them offering some kind of bullshit label services. Right. It's like, we don't give a shit label services. You'll get thrown into an algorithm that advertises your music, and it's like, I don't know. Spotify to me is I know it's the biggest one, but to be honest, like, I don't know. They don't really give a shit. I mean, because it doesn't matter to us. Right. Touring is everything.
But does it help you get bigger tours, like more shows? No.
No. Basically, if anything, our streaming numbers aren't that hot. So if anything, it doesn't help us at all, because we don't have the wide demographic that someone would have, like, say, like a Post Malone or something like that. We're not going to have 1 billion streams. Half of our fans are in their 50s and they buy records. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of we're like an old school rock and roll band, and a lot of our fans are old school rock and roll fans who like to have the flack instead of the fucking stream. And for me, I'm like, I don't care, give me the stream. But a lot of people really want that in our realm, and they want to buy records, and they want to go to the store, and they want to read a magazine, and they want to, especially in the UK. And in Canada, it's a little bit less, but still the same idea. They're not going on Spotify. They don't have Spotify. They got XM Radio if you're lucky. Right. My dad doesn't have Spotify. I tried to get him Apple Music. He's like, I got to pay for this every month. And I'm like, yeah, And he goes, no, I'm okay.
Hmm.
He's got like thousands of records, but he's like, what are you guys doing? And it's just like, it doesn't appeal to them. Like, they'll listen to it on YouTube, man.
Yeah.
They don't care.
But it's so interesting, like Spotify, how, because there's so many opinions, and I don't know if there's facts necessarily, but you know, like a band like you guys, because it's not a small band. I mean, maybe it's not Metallica level, but
Right.
it's so interesting to see how it actually works for a band like you guys, because you know, I think like a band like you is what most bands, not most bands will become, but it's a really good level to become, you know, because how
Yeah.
many bands are going to be in Metallica these
Right.
days, you
Not
know?
that many.
No. So it's just
And
really,
we're grateful and super happy about it. But the thing is, like I said, it's not the number of plays is a lot of ways how people look at things. If they go to a new band and they see, oh, you've only had like 16 million plays on this. Well, I mean, this band's had 6 billion plays on this. They're obviously better.
right.
And it's actually really detrimental. And there's actually a lobbying starting to go around. And I was discussing with my manager actually, and they want to get rid of the play count on Spotify and put music at a level playing field. Judge it for what it is, rather than judging it for how many of your idiot friends like it. It's like, you know what I mean? It's I'd say it's a far more honest way to put music into the world, because you're not. I don't know. You're not. It's not how much money you're making and things like that. Like, people look at Spotify, they're like, "Oh my God, like The Weeknd must be loaded." Yeah, he is. He's one of the only ones that gets paid. But like, you know, that shouldn't make you be able to judge whether it's good or not. I mean, it's using peer manipulation, I think, in my opinion. It's not even, and it doesn't benefit anyone. It doesn't even benefit the big artists. You know what I mean? It's kind of just puts it in this weird. It's like Apple Music doesn't do it. They don't have a play count.
Oh, yeah?
There's no play count on Apple
didn't know
Music.
that,
I
actually.
like Apple Music, man. I
Right.
mean, I know they're evil and all that shit.
I didn't
But
know they were evil.
I like Apple Music because they pay really good. There's people who run it are music lovers. Their headquarters in LA. Like, I have friends that know people that work there, and are acquaintances of people that work there, and they all listen to music.
Wow.
You know, it's not like a bunch of people who are just like algorithms. They actually kind of care, and they adjusted their payment structure when they thought it wasn't fair. And like, they do things to accommodate the music industry rather than saying, okay, let's crush this thing.
That's interesting.
They say, well, why don't we it's still, you know, come on, there's got to be some backdoor crazy going on there. But like, yeah, like everything, right? But like, I mean, in my opinion, if we're talking about lesser of two evils, if we're talking about giant douche turd sandwich, I would take Apple in that situation, because it just, I don't know, it makes sense to me. It's like, they don't need the money.
Right.
It's like, Apple Music isn't there because it's there to be a service to compete with Spotify. Yes, I'm sure for some money, great, but they don't need it. It's kind of like a pet project for Apple. It's like, you know what? We're making, you know, Bezos money. We might as well do this fun thing for the kids, for the punks.
But you know what's funny? Like, because I've tried both, actually, Apple and Spotify, and I always found Spotify, even though it's algorithm based, I always found their recommendations be better than Apple Music's when I tried.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Spotify is great. I had it for years, and then as soon as I started reading about payment structures and how when Apple Music changed their payment structure to help artists, I'm like, well, fuck this.
That makes me want to change too, to be honest.
Pardon me?
It makes me want to change to Apple Music too, actually.
Well, it just, to be like, I'm not even trying to wave the flag or anything. It's just like, I just think Spotify is so like messed up in their structure of the way they structured their company. Because here's what happened. They lost money every year in existence until like 3 years ago, when they started making a profit, because they went all evil. And that's kind of how it works.
I didn't know they were making profit still, actually.
No, probably not. I mean, they're trying to get there, right? Because I bet the shareholders aren't quite happy. I mean, you should see the Spotify headquarters. It's like, you don't make a profit, and that's what it looks like. I'm like, you guys need to chill out. You got to go back to the garage, boys.
Exactly.
But it's one of those things where to me, I would rather support a company that actually even gives half of the shit. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm naive too. But whatever.
No, I think
it works
makes sense,
for me,
man. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think Apple Music sounds. I'm gonna check it out in more detail, actually. But it's very, you know, convincing to go with them instead.
Well, it's just to read about it, because there's reasons why I'm with it, and I'm sure some of them are just because, you know, I'm lazy. But there's you know, there's benefits to it, I think, over Spotify, just because Spotify is it just seems so ugh.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
because like you said, their offices, like they have huge offices even here in Oxford Street. That's
Yeah.
super expensive. Like
Oxford Street. Like, come
they
on.
should
What
definitely go
about,
back to
why
the
don't you put
garage.
your office in like Oxford?
Yeah, exactly,
Or Newcastle. And Spotify office is their Newcastle now. But
exactly.
like, it's just one of those things where like, I don't know. Maybe it's a vibe thing. I don't know. I'm kind of that kind of person.
Definitely, man. But something I'd like to get deeper in is how to run a band like Monster Truck, like a band at your level. Because, like I said before, um, yeah, I mean, I don't think bands would be Metallica level anymore for good and bad. But yeah, what's the inner workings behind Monster Truck? Like what? Because I guess it's not all like, oh, let's go on tour and record albums. There's a lot of other stuff you guys have to do. Do you guys do them yourself, or do you hire everything out to other people?
There's like, well, we had a record label until our next release. We don't have anything set in stone anymore. We just finished our commitment to our last label.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, we do everything ourselves. Brandon our organ player, tour manages half the time. Like, we'll do arena tours with 7 guys, and the headlining band's crew like helps us out so much, and they're always like best friends by the end of the tour. But like, that's how we work. We're a working band. Like, we roll up our sleeves and push our own shit. Like, we're not, I change my own strings. We do all our own things. We usually have one tech on stage just to run drums and like, be a liaison while we're playing. But other than that, like, you have to be a working band if you want to make money. You hire all these techs, you want to pay all those people, or do you want to do it yourself? So we kind of like, we work hard, man. We work hard on the road, and like, some of us more than others. I mean, our organ player runs ragged on the road. He's great. If he tour managed, we opened for Godsmack and Hailstorm on an American tour, and he tour managed and played and everything else during that. It went really well, but it's just like, how much stress is that? You know what I mean? Like, you're the first of 3 in like a co-headline arena tour. We got to get on and off, and he's in the band. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's how you can stay afloat, man. We don't want to, like I said, I don't want to be a bricklayer. I want to keep touring. So that's the only way we can do it. And our manager and our tour manager, Tom is literally like, when we have him, which is most of the time, he had another tour booked for that Godsmack one, so we couldn't. He's from the UK, so we usually fly him over, but we couldn't. That time it was just, we weren't working logistically. But yeah, when he's around, it's like a breeze. But usually there's only like, we have a front of house, one tech, and a tour manager, and then everything else we just do ourselves.
Right. And how is it with all the other stuff? Let's say, like, building the fan base. Because obviously you want to increase that, I guess. So
our labels have helped us with that. Our manager, Ollie, is phenomenal, and we work a lot with him and our booking agent, Adam Sylvester. He's great too. He's fantastic, and we just work. Everyone comes up with a plan. We all just execute. It's kind of easy because we know what we're doing. Like, we're not 20-year-old kids getting wasted every night.
Right.
So we get in there and we do our job. So it's one of those things where it's all about just rolling up your sleeves. And I think that's what a lot of bands are going to realize. If you don't want to work hard, music probably isn't for you. I mean, one way or another, you're going to end up working hard if you want to be successful at anything. So it's one of those things where, I think the whole COVID thing and shows being gone and a whole array of other things, financial factors and everything else, is really going to separate who really wants to do it and who doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, what does it mean to work hard? Because I guess a person, and any person, can say, oh, I'm going to work hard and practice my guitar 12 hours a day. That would be working hard, but I guess that wouldn't be the right kind of work. So how do you,
sure. I think
you,
that's the right kind of work.
But,
to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
I think that is. I think if you're the guitar player, play guitar 12 hours a day.
Right.
Don't worry about the album artwork. Someone else will do that.
Right.
We do all our own stuff like that because I'm just ridiculous like that. I can't stop myself. Right. So me and Jared, our guitar player, usually do all the album artwork and most of the shirt concept, if not the designs. And then, but like, it all depends. Work is relative. You know what I mean? Relative to your position and what your job is. And if you're doing your job perfectly, then no one will ever have anything to say to you. And that's the thing. You work hard at the thing that you are best at.
Right.
and it's pretty easy, especially in a band, when you fall into your role pretty quickly if it starts to get serious. And like, I pretty much am just there to like write songs, sing them, and come up with art direction. That's it. That's those are my jobs. And everything else, like tour managing or how the hell we're getting to the airport or what the fuck goes on our luggage to say it's ours, that's not my problem. You know, that's not my issue. So I don't really, I think that's the synergy that it comes down to is like working hard, but you got to find where the best place to do it. Like exactly like you said, not working aimlessly,
Right.
working hard. But if your job is to play guitar, play guitar. If your job is to, answer emails all day, be the best at answering emails. And that's kind of like, I think for people, especially kids in life, it's like, what do you like to do and what are you best at? And if it's a practical skill, that's what you should focus on. Like, there's a million people that can do all those other things that you think you might be good at. But if you're really good at something, just stick to it.
That's very interesting, man, to put it like that. But what if you're a band and all you do, like your struggle is, how can we get to the next level, like Monster Truck level? Because then I guess someone in the band would have to change what they work hard at.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe what you're doing is, it's just a matter of time. Maybe it's a lottery. Maybe it's like, because that's what I think. There's so many bands around the world that could have done what we've done and opened for the bands that we opened for or play the venues that we played. And the reason we get to do it is because we're lucky. Maybe people like the way we fucking look. I don't know. It could be anything. Maybe they like the timbre in my voice and don't like the timbre in this other guy's voice. So, you're a better singer. It's not, it's all luck of the draw, man. Everything in life, I think, maybe things are predetermined. Who knows? Whatever spirituality quest you want to go on. But I think that every situation like this, it's like being a hockey in Canada. Everyone wants to be a professional hockey player. Well, Sweden, what I'm talking about. Yeah. Everyone wants to be a professional hockey player. So, like, your whole city's full of almost pro hockey players. And it's like, none of these guys are really going to be hockey players. And then two guys do it. And you're like, well, holy shit. But that's the odds. You know what I mean? It's the same with bands. You get lucky. Sometimes you're in the right place at the right time. Sometimes your song gets used for the right commercial. Sometimes, and I think the best way for people to figure it out is the more true you are to yourself, the better your art translates. The more you believe in what you're doing, the more it's believable to other people. And that's the thing that I'm trying to live by now, because our last record, True Rockers, I was trying to, I think I was just trying to cover all the bases. I was trying to gain the biggest fan base as I could. And I think that it wasn't really maybe true to who we were at the time. You know what I mean? But maybe it wasn't our position. Maybe we went on tour for too long with Nickelback and friggin' arenas in Europe. And I wanted that now. And then the work came out fine. I don't hate the record, but it doesn't sound as sincere as their albums. It doesn't have that same conviction that I feel like when you do it for just passion. And that's what it is, man. It's we're still trying to get to the next level, like everyone is. If you're not, I don't know what you're doing, but I feel if things are done in a way that's pure of heart, it's going to happen anyway. You have to find that focus, that vibration where your whole body and everyone else is going at the same time, and then whoop, it all works out. So, whether that vibration only gets you half the way or the whole way, or, it's all about that, finding that specific moment in time. And it's like the lottery, Right. You live your whole life waiting for that one moment. You never know when it's going to be. You don't even know if it's already passed. Right. And it's kind of like, I don't know. I feel insanely lucky, but I also feel like if people were more true to what they were passionate about and not worried about financial gain, I think a lot more people would be successful in the things they want to be.
Right. I mean, that's very interesting, man. I like that point of view that you have. Yeah. But what was Monster Truck's break? What was your lucky moment, as you put it?
I don't know. I mean, we had a bunch of things just fell into place, and it went pretty quick. And we had an EP that went to radio in Canada, and then we had a top 10 single, and then we had to go on tour. So we went on tour, and that helped us out again. And then our next single went was top 10 or was number 1 for 10 weeks, and then the UK they start finding out about us, and then we start going to New York and shit, and then all of a sudden we're in New York one night. They're like, "You want to play Download in 3 days?" We're like, "Okay." So we went and played Download. You know what I mean? It all kind of like. Mm-hmm. But to us, I mean, it all does that, and then eventually it just goes, and you kind of just hang out, and that's, I think, where you end up finding, like, that's the hard part, and plateauing, because you're like, well, you're expecting it to keep, whatever. But I think that's when you start to realize, like, what's important and what isn't. But I mean, there's no real break. I mean, we've had tons of stuff that you would imagine would be the greatest breaks ever, and we should be way bigger. But it's just how things go, and quite happy about the way it's been. I mean, we can't really complain at all. We've been very lucky to actually have a career and be able to go to different countries and be able to have lots of fun. Yeah. So, I mean,
it's very interesting, because weren't you guys in a band before Monster Truck too? Like, you all had your own other bands.
Yeah, but mine were like, I would go to work, and after work I'd go to band practice every night, kind of thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't a career. It wasn't even something I wanted to do. I did music to get away from work. Mm-hmm. I didn't want it to become my work. That was a hard realization when I finally realized, like, oh yeah, you got to write a song right now, or you're not going to get paid. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay, hold on. I don't know if I like this that much. But before, the other guys toured and did things in other bands, but nothing crazy. I mean, a couple, maybe, I think Brandon, our organ player, went overseas once or twice. But yeah, it was never, there was just like Canadian kind of bands. And then, Monster Trucks just blew away everyone's expectations. I mean, I went across Canada 3 or 4 times, played a few shows in the States, but we'd never gone overseas. And then we were going overseas 4 or 5 times a year. And then, where we would be now if it wasn't, this pandemic situation. But and what we'll be back to probably next year if there's a vaccine. But like, it's one of those things where you don't really, I don't know. It's a wild situation.
I mean, so there's nothing at all where you think back, like, oh, we did this different than my other bands, and that's maybe.
I think Monster Truck was not taken seriously, right? Like, ever, really, until True Rockers. I think, as far as like, holy shit, we got to make something to make money, and then it wasn't as good as the other stuff we just did for fun. So I think the joy of not having to worry about anything is the key. The key to staying into it. I mean, I don't know. I can't really describe how it is, but yeah, you just have to find the joy in what you're doing. Because when we found the joy in what we were doing, everything was coming out more pure and more, I think, better. To be honest, and I think it was the idea of taking something not seriously, because those guys too, they were in other bands that were trying to take seriously, and they producers and, like, around Warner and shit like that, but like. It didn't materialize. So I think Monster Truck was just a reason to get wasted. And we took it that way. And then because it was, so we just wanted to make good rock and roll songs. And that's all it was. There was no motivation behind it. I think that's why it did well, because the songs came out like we put effort into them, but they weren't, and we're not Dream Theater type, It was more like, let's write these dingy rock songs, and I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. Seriously, in that mentality, I think our new record is much more like that, where it's like, let's just write the rock and roll songs we want to write, and then let's see what happens. But and they came out amazing, and it's just one of those things where I think when you lose that spirit of joy, it becomes a job, and that's the worst situation. I mean, we're supposed to be lucky to have this career. You don't want to feel resentful,
Definitely, man. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but so how do you deal with that pressure of, having it like a job? Obviously, it's a big, you're really grateful for it, of course. But how do you keep the maybe away from the pressure of, okay, like, oh, I got to write a new song, otherwise we're not gonna have a tour. How do you deal with that pressure and all of it?
I don't know. I think I'm pretty good with it.
Nice.
I don't mind it. I'm pretty much always writing songs, so it's one of those. It's just what I've always done. I just like doing it. So it's kind of all my spare time is pretty much spent with a guitar, like writing songs. My poor girlfriend, but serious. But yeah, it's I don't know. I don't feel like it's a problem for me. I just like to just push it out. And yeah, it sucks to think about, oh God, what's going to happen. And yeah, there's anxious moments, of course, when something's coming out or a single's getting released and it's not doing as well as you want, or the other way around, or a single comes out you thought was going to flop and it's fucking amazing. And it's like both ways there's anxiety. But I think just coming to terms with the fact that you only live one time, and if you spend your whole time worrying about things, you're going to miss it all.
Exactly.
So I prefer, man, this whole quarantine's got me all zenned out because seriously,
Nice.
I started meditating and shit. Well, I mean, I figured life is too short for me to feel this anxious. So, you know, and it was crazy. I was drinking a lot for a long time. And over the past like year or so, I haven't really drank at all. So it's one of those things where it's this moment of clarity thing. So it's all about resetting, right? And I think bringing everything back to the way it was. So it's an interesting way to look at things. But yeah, I think if it just flows out, just let it flow out. And I've never had a problem with that because I don't know, I'm always doing it anyways. And a lot of the shit I write sucks, but you know, every once in a while you get a gym.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Well, if you're doing it every day, I mean, you're bound to get some gold eventually. Exactly. At least 8 or 9 songs for the next album or so, you know.
But that's really cool that you started meditating, because that's something I've done a lot recently too. But also because of the lockdown, you know. What kind of meditation do you do?
I just kind of sit and try to clear my mind, and then I usually pick a mantra that I like and just repeat it in my head. But a lot of it's just the shutdown. You just need your brain to not think or do anything because we're so bombarded with stimulation now. I mean, shit, I sit down and I have like 10 different things around me. And I just go from thing to thing. And I'm just like, what am I doing? Like nothing is focused. It doesn't make any sense. And I think since I started, even a half an hour is fine for me, or even 10 minutes is fine. Just sit there and just... It's actually funny. My son, he's 4.5, and he started meditating at school. They meditated at school for a while. And I was like, that's a pretty good idea. And he would do it at my house. He'd come to my house when he comes to visit. And he'd sit on the couch and he'd meditate for like 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay. And then I started doing it. And I'm like, I think he's onto something. I think our whole society is so overstimulated that we need to not think about anything for a little while, just a little while. Like give yourself 20 minutes of just nothing. Because man, the stress of having to succeed all the time in this world where there's no such thing as success anymore it's absolutely soul crushing. It's crazy. So you know, I definitely I think everyone should meditate. I'd say a lot of people, man, honestly, that I talk to have started doing it because it's just like, man, what do I do?
Yeah. I mean, are you one of those people who, let's say you watch something on Netflix at the same time as you watch something on your phone?
Oh, that's my girlfriend to a T. I always try to put her phone down. I'm like, you're not even watching the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I have the same problem.
Well, I mean, I do it too. I mean, I'm not entirely guilt-free, but I mean, yeah. I mean, there's so much going on. There's so much information you can have. If you're watching something and it bores you for a second, here's this other thing.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's crazy.
You know, and it's. I don't know if it's healthy or not. I don't know what the future's going to look like, but you know, I'll probably be. You know, if it's within the next 40 years, I might see it, but who knows, man? I mean, the way things are going, I mean, who knows what's even going to happen? I mean, every day I look at the news thinking that someone's going to talk about America exploding. So who knows? You know, like dude, it's a scary place to be. I mean, this world, this Facebook world we're in, where you don't know what's true and what's false, and you can't tell which side is right because they're both saying the same things about each other. It's just, and here's the shit part is we don't even live there.
Exactly.
It's still in our lives constantly. It's like, I can't fathom why I give a shit.
Same. I mean,
and I'm right beside it, but yeah.
No, but yeah, it's crazy. I mean, US was, or maybe is to some degree still, you know, the world leader, you know. I mean, it's fading, I guess, but you know, they're still up there
to everyone but them.
Yeah.
No, you're right, and I agree with you. And it's one of those things where it's like it would be, they're the center of pop culture. I mean, besides, to be honest, besides the UK, I mean, UK is pretty much the center of like most music stuff. But like as far as Hollywood and TV and things like that, I mean, it's pretty much, UK, US. There's all the major films and major TV shows in the world. So it's kind of like, I don't know, we have to be invested because our culture is so invested in it. It's like, oh God. And people here are like, Trump's good for the economy. And I'm like, you're in Canada.
Yeah.
Your economy's different.
Exactly.
It's a totally different economy. Like, don't worry. It affects the world economy, yes, but it's okay. If he gets elected, your economy stays the same.
Exactly. It's fucked up, man.
Well, what do we do? But yeah, it's a good life.
But it's interesting what you said about success. Like success. There's nothing like what is success these days? But something I learned recently was you have to determine what's success for you, and that made me way more relaxed. Rather than thinking I have to be this person I see on Instagram. I need to have this much money or this many cars, whatever.
Yeah. I think I came to the same realization over this. I think a lot of people have. I think it's what comes down to is what do you value the most in life?
Exactly.
When you're confronted with the fear of death, which is what this pandemic was in a minor form, maybe it was like a little sugar cube of death, but when you're confronted with mortality, your perspective has to change. There's no possible way for a human mind to see that type of thing without being affected some way. I feel the same way. I was really driven. I'm like, how can I get the band bigger? How can I get more followers? I don't give a shit anymore. I just want to have a good time and put things into the world that are positive that I believe in. And it's kind of like it's a good reset. It's a good reset. I think people need to strive less for material things and start to think more about the quality of their relationships and how how do you want to be remembered? What is your there's a show called Utopia, but it was a comic book first, and I'll always love this line from it, and it says, what did you do today to earn your place in this crowded earth?
Right.
And they did one dad in it, and it's kind of really morbid, the actual underlying story of it, but that phrase alone, what did you do today to earn your place in this crowded earth? And I say that every day to myself when I wake up. That's kind of like my little mantra, and it's a little bit dismal, and it's a little bit, you know what I mean? It's kind of dark, but that's who I am. But like for me, it's like, okay, every day, what can I do? It doesn't matter what it is. It just has to be something to contribute to anything. To contribute to being. It can be selfish contribution for yourself. It could be writing a song and hoping it's going to be huge. It could be, doing art. It could be doing a God knows an Instagram post if that's art these days. But like it's those things, and it could be anything. And like there's people that go through life, if they can remember that, then maybe like something positive will come out of it. I don't know. I always liked that phrase. It was always something that was like, oh man, that's cheeky, but I like it.
Yeah, it's a good line actually. You talked about like expectations. Let's say you write a song and you think this is going to be a massive hit, for example. How do you? Because that's something I struggle with. Not when it comes to songwriting, but other things. Like you have some expectations of that something great will happen and it doesn't.
Right.
How do you deal with that?
Aim low.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a little bit it. But I mean, I think success too, you should find value in the fact that you created something that you believe in rather than find value into what people think. People have been bad-mouthing my band since inception because we were like the cool guy band, and then we started going on tour with big bands, and then all of a sudden we're the radio band. We didn't change at all. But that's how it went, and that's kind of how it is. And then that's how it goes. You can't please anyone else except for yourself. And I think people have to learn to love themselves and love the things that they do before they can even accept any kind of criticism from someone else even. You have to be able to set aside everyone else's opinion and believe in what you do. Because I think the key is if someone hates it, someone else will love it. There's so many people on this planet. Like, there's the shittiest things that people love. And there's the best things that people hate. And it's the only way I look at it. I'm like, someone's going to like it. Even if it totally sucks, someone's still going to like it. That's the way you should look at it. If it's a success to you, it's a success, period. That's your contribution for that day. Right? Yeah. I put this into the world, this positivity into the world, and I believe in it. And if everyone else doesn't believe in it, that's fine, because I believe in it anyways. I'm trying to teach my son those kind of that kind of ethos, just to kind of give him that feeling of, I'm always good enough. Nothing really matters. I mean, considering nothing really does. I mean, we're set in this world where we're putting our pictures up all the time for approval. I'm a sucker to it. I love it. I get like 1,000 likes on a picture. I'm dancing and shit. But what is that validation? I mean, it's worthless. It means nothing. So it's kind of like, that's the way I would battle it. Like when I get criticism from other people, I'm like, whatever. I liked it. You know, it was good for me. So, you know, you guys, it's kind of sounds selfish, but I mean, if we're not selfish with our own art, what can we be selfish with?
Exactly. It's very interesting. I like that approach. I think it's good to aim low, you know, then you're not going to be disappointed at least, which can be good.
That's story of my life. That's what my autobiography should be called. Aim low. That'd be a good one.
I think you reach a bit, you know, further than that, but yeah, I see your point. But I also heard you speak about, you know, getting a fan base can be hard and take a lot of work, but also maintaining a fan base is also, that's the other side of having a fan base. And I thought it was really interesting because I've never really thought about that, but yeah, I heard you speak about that, and it was just how do you work on that? How do you take care of your fan base so you don't lose the fans you work so hard to get?
I don't know. You do the best you can. You know, it's literally how it is. I mean, you could post a million things on and try and build your social media and nothing hits, or you post one thing every 6 months and it's the most popular thing ever. You never know. It's just, all we can try to do is put out the most honest thing we can, the thing that we feel represents us in that moment of time, or that project in that moment of time. Here you go. Here it is. You know, and I think that's the only way you can really approach things. It's like, just be honest with it. Put it out. Right. It's a weird. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be a tricky thing, I guess. You know, having that as a task you do in your job as a band member. But between tours and stuff, maybe not anymore. But when you started out, did you have to do other jobs in between tours?
Yeah.
Is that
Always
still
working.
happening, or?
No, not as much. Well, I do other things. I write with a lot of different people, do songwriting, and I'm working with a band now that I'm co-producing with a friend of mine. And then, just random things like here and there. Lots of little projects and things like that. I mean, if you can't, I don't want to just be known for one thing. You know, you can't, if that's my drive, I mean, I guess mission accomplished, but like, it's not. I want to be able to continue to expand who I am and make just an impression for myself. When I leave this mortal coil, I would like to be proud of the work I've left. So that's kind of my goal now, is to make things that I believe in, that I want to make, that work for me. Things that my son will look at when he's older and be like, wow, that's great. That's kind of my goal.
That's a nice goal, man.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah. But like we talked about, like bands like Metallica, maybe like bands like all those big rock bands, right? Like Foo Fighters. Do you think we're gonna see those kind of bands in the future? I mean,
sure.
they all. Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, there'll always be big bands.
Because I've been wondering that for a long time. Like,
who's
are we
the
gonna
biggest?
See?
You know?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be the biggest? That's all it is. It's really like when. Yeah, you'll see it. I mean, you won't see a band, I don't think, that goes from straight up thrash metal to you know Metallica. You know what I mean? Like, they're a little bit different, you know. But there's I think there's always moments in time. Guns N' Roses was a moment in time. I mean, what's a current one? There's a bunch of current ones that were the same kind of idea. I mean, there's bands like Rammstein. No one realizes how big they are in North America. I don't think anyone actually gets it. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are really big, like Metallica big. But like, you're always going to have bands like that because that's how things are. You know, I think that there's always going to be a desire to celebrate something. People want champions. They're going to find these champions and raise them up. And that's the whole thing, right? And that's all Metallica is. Metallica is like the champion of all metal. And everybody who likes metal likes Metallica. It's like Maiden's the same thing, right? Or any of these bands. Like, it'll always be there. There'll be other bands that come up and do the same thing. Foo Fighters are the next one, but who was the one before Foo Fighters? You know what I mean? Metallica, probably. It's like these huge mega bands. Like they come around once every couple, like 20 years or so. Who knows? One of the bands that's like, I don't even know. Any of these bands could be huge like that. You know what I mean? Just one good record.
That's true.
There you go.
That's true.
It's kind of, I don't think that'll ever go away. I don't think rock stardom will ever go away. I just don't think it's going to look the same. And it ain't going to look the same on the way up either.
Right. That's probably true. I guess there's less partying involved these days. Or is there?
I mean, you got to be on it, man. You don't want to screw anything up. Everyone's got a phone, don't they?
Yeah, exactly.
You blow a show, everyone sees it.
That's true.
Maybe not me, but if James Hetfield blows a show, everyone sees it.
Yeah.
No one's partying too because that shit gets old. I think a lot of people have realized that alcohol is super poisonous to your body. So a lot of these guys who are in their 50s ain't doing that shit. And even guys like my age and younger than me are like, I don't know. It's kind of, I'm from Canada though. We're massive pot smokers out here. So like we got our thing and people like to have a drink and do what you want. But you know, that's kind of the thing. I've always been more of a weed guy than a beer guy or a booze guy anyway, so I'm fine. I think that a lot of people are kind of, you know, they find their own thing. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It doesn't have to be something that destroys your body.
I mean, it's good that has come into the consciousness of people on the road because, yeah, like you said, it was a lot of that in the past.
Well, here's the thing too, man. You're always on social media. So any of these huge artists, you got to look good. Right. If you don't look good, the first time someone goes, wow, you look like shit. You know, so you're under this pressure to maintain a rock star thing. You know what I mean? I think I saw Chad Kroeger eat once in 3 months.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But I would always miss him. I would always be like, where's Chad? Does this guy not eat? Like, does he never eat? I see everyone else in catering. But like, but it's true. Like, you have to watch yourself. When you start getting older, you don't have to eat as much food, like, and things like that. Like, you have to adjust your whole lifestyle. And you can tell who does it on tour and who doesn't. I mean, we were out with Godsmack. Sully was working out like every day and like, you know, eating really good and stuff. And he was complaining about like not being able to eat the things he wanted to. But he's like, you know, and then like, you know, that's the whole vibe of it, right? It's like, you have to take care of yourself, or how are you going to be good for anyone else?
Good point. How do you take care of yourself on the road?
I got a workout routine, and I usually I have a smoothie in the morning, and I only have like one and a half meals a day, maybe, just like kind of let my body work on everything else, so it's not constantly digesting. But that's pretty much my main thing. It's just stay healthy, walk a bunch. I take the dog for a walk a lot. And, you know, work out 4 times a week with like resistance bands, and that's it. Nice. But like, you know, I got to go on stage and do shit. For a normal person, just staying healthy and getting a half an hour of walk in a day, you should be fine. You know, it's like people just need to realize that the more happy your body is, the better your quality of your life is. And I think it took me a long time to realize that, man. I really punished myself the first 8 years of the band.
Wow.
Even. Wow. Oh, yeah, man. It was just a party. But, like, that's the thing. That party gets old very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine. It must be tough going up to play for an hour, 2 hour, if you are super hungover.
Oh, man. I was brutal, like, for a long time. And then last few tours we did, we were headlining an hour and a half. And I wasn't drinking, and it was the easiest thing I've ever done. I was like, oh man, I've been fucking up this whole time.
Well, yeah.
But it was great. So, you know, you live and learn.
But so do you do fasting? It sounds something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't usually have a smoothie till about 1 or 2 p.m. I usually get up around 8 and have 2 coffees, and then I have a smoothie around the afternoon after I work out, and then I eat dinner, and that's it.
So it's like intermittent fasting, I guess?
Yeah. I'd rather my body be not digesting more than it is digesting. You know, I think there's a lot of, a lot of the problem with people in the world. We consume far too much, and you don't give your body a break to actually work on the ailments that are actually hurting you. Like, I haven't had any muscle pain in like ages. Barely ever get it. Like, you know, like I barely ever have any like skin problems or anything. It's because my body's able to repair it. You're giving your body your organs time to function the way they're supposed to. You know, think about hunter gatherers. What do they eat? once a week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that it's become really popular to fast because I do it myself. Like,
Yeah.
what is it? What's it called? 16/8 maybe.
Yeah.
So fast 16 hours, and then you can eat for 8. Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
don't eat straight. All those hours, but yeah, as you do. I heard it's really good if you have cancer. Like if you fast while having like the what's it called chemo, your body can handle that process super well, which is really cool too, actually. So, but hopefully you don't get cancer. But yeah, if you do, fasting is good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's been a good run. Yeah, it's always nice to try and stay decently healthy. Yeah,
exactly, man. But you mentioned you guys were doing acoustic album because I know your bandmate. I don't know if all of them, but I know one guy. Just his name went out of my head, but he was not really up for doing an acoustic album for a long time.
Yeah, he's still that guy. But we just did like we did an EP. I believe it's 5 songs, and it's got 1 new song on it. I'm not sure when it's going to be out, but yeah, we felt like it was time to do something. So we did a bunch, and it'll be out next year at some point. I don't know when.
Cool.
But yeah, we kind of rearranged the songs, some of our bigger songs, and then I really like it. It's really good. It's got a good vibe to it.
Nice. Look forward to it, man. And your own solo stuff, is that on Bandcamp or it's not out yet?
Not quite yet.
Right.
I'm going to be probably getting it out within a month. Yeah, it's J Harvey and the Inner Demons. And it'll be out pretty soon, but it'll be all over the socials. I'll put it on Monster Truck as well.
Cool, man. I'll be on the lookout. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you like to tell your fans, like what's coming or something to check out?
Oh, well, we're playing Download if it happens.
Cool.
But we're main stage Download if it happens on the Saturday. So Deftones Day. Woo! But I think there's a lot coming through the pipe for us. We're gonna continue working on new stuff. We're gonna be doing a cover song release coming up, and another version another installment of our acoustic. So look for a lot of stuff from the truck in the next year or so, and hopefully back on tour.
Awesome.
We'll see.